when healing becomes your rebellion, breaking the workplace mafia that targets Black nurses. Welcome to the Soft Girl Era podcast, where we unlearn survival and reclaim softness, rest, and radical joy. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce like sweet softness whispered in French. And today we're diving into a conversation that's going to shake you, validate you, and hopefully set you free. I recently had the honor of sitting down with Chassity Ballard, a Black American nurse who's been on the front lines of healthcare, pouring her heart into healing others, only to face a workplace mafia that's been systematically sabotaging her brilliance. Chassity didn't just share her story with me, she handed us a mirror. And what we see reflected back is the exhaustion, the exclusion, and the emotional warfare that so many Black nurses endure every single day. She's speaking up now because silence isn't protection, it's poison. And she's done drinking it. Let me be clear. Chassity Ballard is making the world a better place by refusing to let this toxic cycle continue unchallenged. She's a healer who's choosing to heal herself. And in doing so, she's opening the door for every Black nurse who's ever felt invisible, overworked, and undervalued. Her courage is the kind that doesn't wear a cape, it wears scrubs and is tired. But it's also done being quiet. So here's what we're unpacking today: three truths you need to lock in. First, Black nurses face targeted sabotage. When you're good at your job, when you're excellent, when you're the one patients trust and colleagues should celebrate, that's when the mafia strikes. Your passion gets weaponized, your competence becomes a threat, and suddenly you're not just tired from the work, you're exhausted from the warfare. Second, it's a click mentality. Exclusion isn't accidental, it's strategic. Conversations happen in other languages right in front of you. The most dangerous patients land on your assignment sheet. The promotions you're qualified for, gate kept, and grace, that's reserved for everyone else. Third, you're not alone. And silence isn't the answer. Speaking up, even strategically, even softly, breaks the cycle for all of us. Chassity Ballard is proof of that. Now, I'm not just bringing you Chassity's story, I'm bringing you three real stories of Black women nurses who've battled this exact mafia and lived to tell the tale. These aren't hypotheticals. These are verifiable wins and warnings. Let's break them down. Let me tell you about Beatrice Mbanda. Beatrice is a Black African nurse working at a care home in the UK. One night, white coworkers accused her of sleeping on duty. They said they heard her snoring. Classic, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Only white staff were interviewed during the investigation. Black colleagues completely ignored. The whole thing was retaliation because Beatrice had called out those same white assistants for refusing to hospitalize a resident who needed urgent care. She was doing her job, protecting a vulnerable patient, and they punished her for it. But here's where it gets good. Beatrice didn't just accept their version of events, she raised the issue of racial bias at the hearings. Her union representative pushed for Black staff to be interviewed. And then the kicker: someone shared a video of a white nurse sleeping on the job. That nurse, no discipline, not even a conversation. Beatrice faced a gross misconduct warning and pressure to resign. The tribunal ruled the process unfair and awarded her £23,000 for race discrimination. This wasn't just a win for Beatrice. This was a mirror held up to every care home, every hospital, every healthcare institution that allows this mafia mentality to thrive. It exposed how cliques ignore Black nurses' input, fuel exhaustion, and push biased investigations. It's a direct reflection of what Chassity described: sabotage by coworkers for competence and exclusion of Black voices. When you're good at your job, when you're the one standing up for what's right, that's when they come for you. Now, let me share something even more sobering. There's a 2024 study of over 12,000 registered nurses across 872 hospitals in 10 states. The focus: minority nurses, especially Black women, facing workplace bias. The findings: Black nurses are 40% more likely to experience discrimination. 40%, let that sink in. That's not a small margin. That's not a rounding error. That's systemic. Unsupportive environments amplify exclusion and harm. But here's the hope, and I want you to hold on to this. Supportive hospitals with administrative responsiveness cut discrimination by 63% for Black nurses. 63%. That means when leadership actually cares, when they implement tailored strategies, when they hold people accountable, the mafia loses power, the clique crumbles, the gatekeeping stops. This study quantified what Chassity and so many others live every day. Black nurses get the toughest patient loads without advancement. It's gatekeeping in action. It's exhausting and it's deliberate. This research calls for protections for underrepresented nurses and influences policy to combat that exhaustion in healthcare across the country. It perfectly aligns with Chassity's experience of moving across multiple states searching for relief, landing in California as the lesser of the evils, but still feeling overwhelmed by the mafia overload on Black American women. And then there's the third story, the framework that dives into Black women nurses experiencing sex specific racism, medical bias, and witnessing prejudice against their patients and colleagues. The challenges: gendered racism, intelligence questioned, voices silenced, demotions, patients assuming they're aides, not nurses, colleagues excluding them through language barriers and stereotypes, and burnout from what researchers call the superwoman schema. The expectation that Black women can and should carry it all without breaking. The solutions: sister circles for coping, aggressive self advocacy to be seen, leadership accountability. The outcomes: reduce PTSD, depression, and anxiety, better stress management in female dominated fields like nursing. This framework exposes vicarious racism, overhearing patient smears, witnessing colleagues being disrespected, and the exclusion that leads to targeted well being strategies. It captures the exclusion by other women, the language barriers, the dangerous patients, and the exhaustion Chassity described as a Black American nurse. It's her life and it's the life of so many others. Now, here's where we shift. Chassity Ballard's story and these three stories scream one thing: you are not alone. But knowing you're not alone isn't enough. We have to act. So here's my challenge to you: audit your workplace, document the mafia moves, write down who's excluding you, who's dumping the hardest assignments on you, who's speaking in other languages about you or your patients. Build your sister circle. Find the Black nurses, the allies, the people who see you and will stand with you, and demand responsiveness, like in these stories. Speak up strategically, exit strategically if you have to. Your healing serves all of us. Because here's the thing: the soft girl era isn't about being weak, it's about being wise enough to know when the fight is costing you your peace. It's about releasing the cape, the one that says you have to endure, you have to be strong, you have to take it. Chassity Ballard is learning to be soft in a world that taught her survival. She's redefining strength, she's protecting her peace as a practice, and she's turning her survival into something sacred and supportive for others by speaking out. Let's talk about what softness looks like in this context. It's not quitting your passion, it's refusing to let toxic environments steal your joy. It's setting boundaries without apology. It's saying, I will not carry the heaviest patient load while you gatekeep my promotion. It's saying, I will not be excluded from conversations about my own patients. It's saying, I deserve grace too. And if you won't give it to me, I'll give it to myself by walking away. Chassity moves states searching for relief. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. She landed in California, the lesser of the evils, but even there, The mafia persists, all races against Black Americans, women in particular, total disregard, exclusion, conversations in completely different languages right in front of you, often discussing you or your patient, the most difficult and dangerous patients with the most busy work, no acceleration in the field, gatekeeping of positions and opportunities, not even considered as a Black American woman. And if you are considered, you're not warranted the same grace as others. That's not just workplace bias. That's a coordinated effort to break you. And the fact that Chassity is still standing, still speaking, still healing, that's rebellion. That's the soft girl era in action. So, what do we do with this? How do we move from exhaustion to empowerment? First, we validate the pain. Chassity, if you're listening, I see you. We see you. Your exhaustion is real. Your anger is justified. Your decision to speak up is brave. Second, we laugh at the absurdity because honestly, the idea that a group of grown professionals would gang up on someone for being good at their job, it's ridiculous. It's insecure. It's pathetic. And you don't have to carry the weight of their inadequacy. Third, we take action, document, build community, demand accountability. And if the environment won't change, you change your environment. Beatrice Mabanda won her tribunal because she refused to be silent. The Penn study proved that responsive leadership cuts discrimination by 63%. The framework on gendered racism showed that sister circles and self advocacy reduce PTSD and depression. These aren't just stories, they're blueprints. And here's the spiritual piece because for so many of us, faith is the foundation. Chassity, you became a nurse to help and heal others. That calling didn't come from a place of survival, it came from a place of service. And the mafia at work doesn't get to steal that from you. Your purpose is bigger than their pettiness. Your healing is more important than their hate. And your softness, your decision to rest, to set boundaries, to protect your peace, that's not giving up. That's growing up. Here's what I need you to understand. This isn't just about nursing. This is about every Black woman in every field who's been told to shrink, to stay silent, to carry the load without complaint. This is about every woman who's been excluded from the table she helped build. This is about every professional who's been gaslit into believing that their exhaustion is their fault, that their burnout is a personal failing, when in reality, it's a systemic assault. The mafia thrives in silence, it feeds on isolation. It grows stronger every time a Black woman walks away quietly, convinced that she's the problem. But here's the truth they don't want you to know: you are not the problem, you never were. The system that refuses to protect you, the colleagues who refuse to see you, the leadership that refuses to advocate for you, that's the problem. And it's time we named it. So here's my call to action. If you're a Black nurse, document everything, every exclusion, every overloaded assignment, every time you're passed over for a promotion, every conversation that happens in another language right in front of you. Build your evidence, find your witnesses, connect with other Black nurses who see what you see. And when you're ready, speak up. File the complaint, request the meeting, demand the investigation because silence protects them, not you. If you're a leader in healthcare, listen. Actually listen. When a Black nurse tells you they're being excluded, believe them. When they tell you the assignments are unfair, investigate. When they tell you they're exhausted, don't tell them to be resilient. Change the conditions that are exhausting them. Implement the policies that cut discrimination by 63%. Be the responsive leadership that the research proves makes a difference. And if you're an ally, a colleague who sees this happening, speak up. Don't let the mafia operate in plain sight while you stay silent. Your silence is complicity, your voice is power. Use it. Chassity Ballard didn't stay silent. Beatrice Mabanda didn't stay silent. The thousands of Black nurses who participated in that study didn't stay silent. And because of their courage, we have the data, the evidence, the blueprints for change. Now it's our turn to act. This is not just a conversation. This is a movement. This is a reckoning. This is the moment when we decide that Black nurses deserve better, that Black women deserve better, that healing should never come at the cost of your own well being. This is the moment when we choose softness over survival, when we choose boundaries over burnout, when we choose ourselves without apology. So I'm asking you, what will you do with this information? Will you document? Will you speak up? Will you demand change? Will you build your sister circle? Will you be the responsive leader? Will you be the courageous ally? Because the mafia is counting on you to do nothing. They're counting on your silence, your exhaustion, your isolation. And the only way we break this cycle is together. Chassity Ballard is making the world a better place by refusing to be silent. Now it's your turn. Speak up, stand up, show up for yourself, for your sisters, for every Black nurse who's ever felt invisible. Your voice matters, your story matters, your healing matters, and your rebellion, your soft, powerful, unapologetic rebellion. That's what's going to change everything. The soft girl era isn't about giving up. It's about refusing to carry what was never yours to carry in the first place. It's about reclaiming your peace, your joy, your softness. And it starts right now with you, with this moment, with this choice. Choose yourself, choose your healing, choose your rebellion. The world is waiting.